Hello, everybody, and happy Saturday to you. And hopefully, you guys are out enjoying the weather or about to get ready to enjoy this great conversation with my next guest. Thank you for tuning in for our daily episode of the Brief Let's Talk About It podcast. I am Tony Lynch. I am your host. Now, before I bring on my next guest, I would like to say for those fathers out there, happy early Father's Day. If you're struggling right now, please go to my website and so you can be supported this Father's Day. Now, before we get started, I would like to say, if this is your first time tuning in, do me a favor, head over to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. And please, if you know anyone who can benefit from the conversations that we have, please share this with them. Now, without further ado, and before I bring on my next guest, this is for educational purposes only. Help me welcome my next guest, Mr. Manish Patel. Sorry. See, I got
all right, brother.
colors on the brain, man. I got colors on the brain. I apologize. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. I'll be pastel for the day, man. I'm okay with that.
Hey, man, it's a colorful day, right?
Yeah, color is good. Color is good. How are you? Hello,
I'm
listeners.
doing well, brother. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me, man. Uh-oh. Oh, did you freeze up on me? Well, we will give me a minute. Oh, okay, there you are. There you are. You froze up on me there for a minute.
There we go.
Problem. We worked.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that was from.
Oh man, it happens, man. It does. With the heat wave and everything, electronics is doing their own thing, man. They really are. Now, before we get started, brother, tell people who you are, where you're from, and about the work that you do.
So my name is Manish Patel. I'm from the East Coast of the USA, Philadelphia. I am a Silva Method instructor. I am a neurolinguistic programming coach. I am a board certified hypnotherapist. I've been a practicing and licensed occupational therapist for more than 2 decades. So that is me. Professionally, as an individual, I'm all about success, empowering people to find their own success in any walk of life. And I particularly love the topic that we're talking about today. Tony, I love the work that you do. I applaud the work that you do, my friend. It's much needed in a society where men's health is sometimes overlooked, or the state of mind that many men often find themselves engrossed in and don't know how to get out of, and they get stuck in labels, and society sticks them with labels. And how do you get out of it, right? How do you get out of it? And grief especially is something that we find that people are sometimes victims of, and it's how do you help people, and how do you help people help themselves? Because I think we'll get into this more, but what I love doing is empowering people to re-navigate their own journey, to find their own success. I'm one of those people that I don't believe that anybody else does any healing on anybody. I believe that we all have the power and we all have the responsibility within ourselves to do that. It's just other people, great people like yourself, that actually help us on that journey.
Man, I definitely appreciate that, man. I want to say the same to you, man, because you've got you. Sorry, I was and I've just been honored, privileged, through humility, that humble to get into it.
Tony, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm not hearing you clearly. I think it's your mic, maybe.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you better now. I think you're a little bit further away from your mic.
Okay, let me move this over a little bit. Can you hear me now? Good.
I can hear you better now.
All right. So, as I was saying, man, it's I understood the assignment when I went through my go through, right? I've been committed to not letting other individuals, the individuals that want the help, not letting them struggle the way that I did. And I think that's where, you know what I'm saying, we all come together because we all play a very significant part in other people's journeys, right? And you know, you help empower people finding that success, man. And that I take my hat off to you. Thank you for the work that you do. You
Thank
know,
you, bro.
helping people break those chains and go, you know what? No, I don't need this over here. Maybe I should focus on what I have inside and maximizing that to be better, right? And so I asked this question: how did you get into this work, brother?
Oh man, I think being lost, right?
Mhm.
Being in this world. I was somebody who I grew up in the United Kingdom. I came to this country at the age of 18 on my own. So I really didn't have my parents or much family around me. And I found myself on my own. And, you know, we make mistakes. We take the wrong decision. We take the wrong road. And when you're alone at a certain point in life, it starts to really affect your stress, right? It's what we call stress, and not knowing how to manage stress. And that escalates as the years go by, as you keep going and you keep going. And then you find yourself in more of a hole, right? And you get to that low point, whether it's depression, anxiety, or many other things. And, you know, there comes a point, Tony, where you kind of look up and you surrender, right? And you just say, I need help. Surrender is key. And I can remember the day when I was probably at my lowest point and I said, I really need help. And I got two kids that I'm a role model for, right? Or I need to be a role model for. And I said, you know what? I owe it to them and myself to be a better version of me, to be the best version of me. So I had initially embarked on a lot of thought sciences, right? I'd gone the traditional route as a born Hindu and somebody who'd been grown up, who'd been raised in that society. I'd looked at priests and certain rituals and things and all sorts of astrological things, and I wouldn't say it didn't help, but it wasn't the key, right? Like the answer is in you. Nobody can heal you. Nobody can make you feel happy. And this is the case in relationships and jobs and anything. Nothing can give you what you are looking for. It's inside you. So as I went through those thought sciences, reading books from by authors such as Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, Louise Hayes, Abraham Hicks, Eckhart Tolle, so many more. They're just a few names. You know, I started to make little shifts here and there. And at some point, I came across the Silva method,
Okay.
where the Silva method kind of connects the dots between science and spirituality, but as practical techniques. There's practical methodology and practice, and it's evidence based. There was a journey where the founder had actually connected with scientists at places such as Duke University and whatnot, and they'd done studies to show that at the end of the 4 day official Silva method immersion, an individual can access those altered states of consciousness,
Mm.
alpha, theta states of mind. So as I studied and being in the health sciences, I was very much about neuroplasticity, the neurosciences as well, and it made sense, right? This kind of allowed me. I'm not that individual that says do this because I said so, and
Right.
that's also how I teach. That's how I help people. It can never be, hey, apply this ice pack because I said so.
Right. Right.
You know, what does it do to your inflammation? Why is it going to help with your pain? And when, you know, as I think William Thoreau said, in all you're getting, get understanding. So as you understand why certain things are being put in place, you tend to have a better compliance. You tend to have a more resonance to that modality or whatever it is. So Silva method really helped me with that, and I started to embrace it, practice it. I saw more shifts physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all those levels. And then I just went on and kept going from one thing to the next, and I became an instructor, and now I'm teaching it. And obviously I've been a coach for a while, but
Mhm.
I'm able to incorporate all of it, right? Able to incorporate how to access the subconscious mind to reprogram our limiting beliefs so
Right.
that we can find our own success, right? At that theta level of mind. And we live in a society, Tony, right, where in the schools, teachers are not even able to mention the word God, right?
Very true.
And so a lot of the Gen Zs, again, people are very judgmental, right? The Gen Zs, the younger generations, they haven't even been given permission to mention the word God in schools, and it's very scientific based. So now, with the Silva method and what I do, when I'm able to connect the dots between science and spirituality, make it make sense in a very basic layman's terms,
Hmm.
that's when they get the aha moments and they say, okay, this makes sense, right? Okay, this is what's going on with my subconscious mind, and this is the stress, and this is the limiting beliefs, and this is why these patterns keep showing up in my life.
Hmm. Yes.
You know.
You mentioned something, and I love that you mentioned that because it's something that I've tried to, well, not really tried, hope other individuals understand that healing method, right? Because they're always looking to other people to come in and they're like, oh, I'm going through this and I need you to do this for me. And I stop them. I go, no, stop. It's not fair that you put that on someone else. They don't know how and what you how to do. They don't know what you need. And I'm right there with you. It's inside of you. So, just like yourself, coming up with a structured method, something that they can add to, right? I just asking basic questions and getting them to explore those different avenues. You know, especially when it comes down with men, right? Um, it's a little bit more work when it comes down to men because we don't know how to articulate our emotions, and switching that mindset around like, hey, not everything consists of five basic emotions. We have a multitude of emotions. We have to learn how to identify and put a label on what you're actually feeling. This is where you start to be honest with yourself. And what it does on the other end, it starts to they begin to recognize it. And then they realize that in a hurt state of mind, holding yourself accountable and being honest with yourself actually will open up the doors for you to find those different avenues of healing. Because what works for me and what works for you may not work for them. But
Right.
it's a straight structure, right? You know what I'm saying? You design your healing journey the way that you need to. You do have to do grief the way that you have to do. Don't do it the
Yeah.
way anybody else, right?
Yeah.
I want to get your thoughts on that.
No, 100% agree. Any journey, especially the grief journey, it's a journey. Your journey is separate from mine,
Mhm.
and when we put so much pressure on ourselves to say, okay, I shouldn't be here, I should be there, I could have done this, those should have, could have, would have, or those things that are getting in your own way
Mm.
to prohibiting you from really finding your journey. And grief is such a, and grief is not just the loss of a loved one. It could be the loss of, it could even be something material.
Oh
It
yeah.
could be it
Oh
could
yeah.
be a job. It could be a role. Okay, I encounter this as a therapist frequently with individuals who have had severe strokes or degenerative diseases. They grieve with the loss of their role as the main provider, the husband, the father figure, and it's really challenging, right? Um, but it's really important to know with respect to grief that it's an energy, it's a low vibrational energy.
Mm.
And I choose to not use the term negative because, it's all about the subconscious mind. How does the subconscious mind automatically perceive the word negative?
Mm.
That
Yes.
it's bad and I'm doing something bad, right?
Agreed.
And then the subconscious mind wants to resist that negative because that's what we say. But if
Mm-hmm.
we say low vibrational, simple, like it's a low vibe energy, energy can be recorded, and with respect to megahertz and vibration, you can record it with physical, instruments in physics. Okay, water. There's been great experiments that water itself can hold intention and memory.
Yes.
Water is a superhuman computer. This is why that great experiment by Dr. Emoto, where he took basically one cup with with grains of rice and another cup with grains of rice, and in one you're giving low vibrational frequency of grief, anger, jealousy, lust. They're low vibrational frequencies of consciousness. It can be recordedness. Consciousness can be recorded. And in the other one, you're transmitting high vibrational frequencies of harmony, love, joy, peace,
Mm.
right? And you find as the weeks go by, that that pot of rice with the low vibrational frequency will start to have fungus and odors emanating from it, but the other one won't, because and that's intention. That's right. Now if that's what you are doing to a glass of water. This is why it's so important. If you're doing that to a glass of water and you can see its effects, you and I are 78% water.
Mm-hmm.
So if that is our own subconscious thought, and remember, 90% of our life, we speak to ourselves. We have more conversation with ourselves in our minds, in our thoughts, than anybody else, anything else. And if that's detrimental, if that's harmful, toxic, low vibrational, if that's filled with low self-worth, what do you think is going to happen to the cells in our body?
Very true. Very true. I want to add to that, though, if I may,
Sure.
because I do believe that in the beginning stages, and this is just my thought, because I am a grief coach, so I've managed to see something and take it to a different level, right? That's how I identified my gift. So there are some people. I'm just going to give my thoughts on it and get what you think about it. So in the beginning stages of grief, it is a very, very low vibrational. Um, I'm right there with you. I really dislike the word negative, so I'm careful about my wording when I say this.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to go, oh man, because they can take it the wrong way. It is a very sensitive time of the year right now, which for a lot of fathers. There are a lot of children that don't have fathers, etc. Right? So I want to make sure I give respect and word this the correct way. Um, it can be a very low vibrational, painful frequency. Let's just put it that way. It's a hurt, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why I worded it that way, because once you can identify the hurt, you can then start to identify the past feelings. So wording equals the different paths, right? You know what I'm saying? Depending on how you look at it. And as we begin to grow within our grief, we come to a place of acknowledgement. Depending on the individual, and I'm only speaking for myself, okay? When I came to a place of understanding what it was, understanding grief, and understanding the pillars that came along with it, I was able to add in the things that I needed in order to take the path. My gift began to manifest itself. My vibration within that gift began to vibrate up higher. I became a beacon for people to find, right? I'm not a healer. I'm not. And I'm not a leader. I'm just a servant. So with the servant's mind, I went, how can I use this to serve? Right? And once you can do this, the subconscious mind, and this is just my thoughts on it, and it's something that I'm still exploring, and I find it fascinating. The subconscious mind took me a place where it was limited, and then my unconscious mind unlocked, and then it took me to the other places where I was able to connect. And what I mean by that, I was able to walk into a room. Most people call it an empath. I say that I recognize vibrations. My vibration will attract you to me. Then in turn, it will speak the language that I need to have in order to um, articulate to you. You know what I'm saying? That what you need from me, right? So I do believe, because just like you said, that water, we're majority water, we hold those memories, and I believe this gift that I have is something that was given to me from many lives, and it's starting to hone itself into the world now. And so I do explore the subconscious mind and the unconscious mind, and I allow them to intertwine to be better at what I do, to bring back information, so I can be better at what I do when I show up in the world. I'm not trying to match anybody else's, except for what is already into honing in on it and being on my craft. So so I can be a better servant to those. But I want to get your thoughts on that, though.
Oh, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. And we just call it something different. We refer to something different. And that vibe that you call is what we call intuition.
Mm,
Intuition is a frequency. It's a gut feeling, right? And what we teach, particularly in Silver Method, is how to be able to exercise and enhance intuition.
mm,
Okay, the property of psi. The founder, Jose Silva, he was adamant that psi and the ability to intuit correctly was not a gift that was privy to the few. It wasn't that you could be born with that ability to have intuition or psychic premonition. We've all had it. We've all had these gut feelings. We've all had this feeling that, okay, I don't know why this person popped in my head today, and that day they text you or they call you. Or there's something you get a gut feeling on, and you go to a restaurant and you just say, something tells me not to eat here, you know and you go out and you go to another place and you had an amazing experience, or you ran into a friend at that other place and you had a great time, but you followed that gut feeling. So that intuition, when you learn how to exercise and operate it at those subconscious levels of mind, and when you start to be able to use it to solve problems for yourself, for your loved ones, or any of humanity, you're tapping into infinite intelligence. That intuition is infinite intelligence that flows through you, what the science calls quantum physics, right? Infinite intelligence. And as long as it's ecological and altruistic, you can now use that as, like you said, as a beacon, or you and I can be vessels to allow that infinite intelligence from source energy, from God, from the universe, from spirit, whatever you choose to call it, to flow through us so that we can actually co-create, help
mm,
others. And
yes.
that is what differentiates us as human beings versus humans who behave like animals. Because what do we have? We have the ability to operate at different modes and levels of consciousness.
Yes. Yes.
That is our choice. That is our true gift. And really what we teach with the Silver Method, what I teach is, how do you tap into that consciousness? How do you shape it? How do you mold it? Just like when you go to the gym and you do pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, how do you do these, use more of your mind? Tony, you know how people always say that you use 10% of we on average, we only use 10% of our brain or our mind.
Yes.
It's true. When we're not using the whole brain activity, the whole mind. But when you go through Silver Method, and when you start to learn how to use altered states of consciousness, you're using your central mind. You're using it all the way it's supposed to, in tandem with problem solving, creativity, central memory, intuition, all of these things. And how do they help you improve and enhance your life in any form, way, or shape? Right? Especially that inner guidance. Look at that word, intuition.
Mhm.
Inner tuition. It's your inner
Yes.
tuition. It's your inner guide, yours, and it's your own GPS system to help you navigate through life.
Yeah. It will guide you. And the crazy part about it is, a lot of people do it and not even know, right? A lot of people, but when you become conscious of it,
When
you
you
begin
become,
to surrender to that vibration, and it will, like you said, it's a guide, right?
it's a guide.
But the key, and I love that you mentioned this earlier, man. This is key to it. You have to surrender to it. You have to release everything that you thought was a safety mechanism and be open to the path that you're on.
Right.
I'm a firm believer that nothing is ever wasted. The journeys that we've been on, the path, the people that we meet, the things that the experience that we have in this world is a story that we tell when we leave this world. And what I mean by that, this podcast that we do, right? This story is going to be told many years after we're gone. Now, if I keep doing the things that I do, when I leave this place, those stories are embedded in my soul. It's in the energy. So when I leave this place, when I go to wherever I need to go to, and I'm not, and I'm very careful about that because I know there's some people that
Sure.
may not believe or believe, and and I don't want to take away from anybody's human experience in this world. This is just mine, right? So I'm always want to be mindful of and let people know that this is just my thoughts. This is just my belief system. When I leave this place and I go into the next place, that story is embedded in my soul. If I am recycled back into this world, I will come back in with that previous memory, those previous stories, that knowledge, infinite wisdom, right? You know what I'm saying? 'Cause wisdom
You
don't
don't
go.
lose it.
It's just coming in and you add to what you've already bought into, or taken away from, and you're bringing into. So then you get to a point to where you reach the maximum point. There's no more recycling. You're now an elder. And now everything that comes out of there is already written. And I also love the fact that you had mentioned, you said when I'm thinking, you said, Jesus Christ, I had it right on the tip of my head too.
I say a lot. I can't help you.
I know, but I get it. We get into this thing, and there's so much. My mind is just like, wow. Well, let's grab onto this. Let's grab onto that. When we talk about how we connect with other people,
Yeah.
right? And we allow ourselves to be able to be a beacon and things like that. I think it carries a different meaning for most people. I think we have to learn how to pivot mentally, right? To be able to connect with those individuals on the levels that they need in order to bring them up. And I think that's what you were talking about with the silver mindset, right? I'm putting all of these things together. I'm like, man, okay, I'm learning so much over here. But I want to get your thoughts on that, and see what you think about that.
About what in particular?
Well, how we connect with other people through that vibrational frequency, right?
Okay.
Without now, and what I mean by that, I'm gonna put it in simpler terms, because there's some people that get stuck in a rut.
Okay.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And they can unknowingly drain that vibration from us.
Got it.
How do we bring that back and maintain that vibration without it diminishing and getting wrapped into that whole messy stuckness that most people are in?
All right. So if I may, I think you've got to start off with understanding the one fundamental law of this universe is energy.
Yes.
Energy never dies. Okay. And we and everything is energy at different rates of vibration. We live in an ocean of motion. When you get to the most minute subatomic level, there is nothing connecting the proton neutrons together. There's just energy, light energy, this empty space. Just as if we get into the macro universe, you've got such distance between stars and planets, right? It's empty space. So greatest physicists that are, Max Planck is one of them, has said that we must assume that at its most minute level, there is no matter. We must assume that there's an underlying source energy that flew through everything. So at the most minute quantum level, right? So therefore there's no disconnect. There is no disconnect. And energy can be transferred, and energy cannot be lost. It can only be changed from one
Yes.
form to another.
Yes.
If you consciously hold the intention to be kind to another, to be altruistic, to be open to that infinite source energy flowing through you, when you can sit there in your optimal energy as a light, as a beacon with high conscious vibration, and say, I genuinely want to help and understand this person, you will get, as you practice it, when you come to one of our seminars, as you practice it and you tune into that intuition, you get downloads, you get intuitive premonitions, you get, and the key really is to trust it. And as you start to trust it and exercising, that's the beauty about, for me, that's the beauty about the Silva method, is there are actual practical techniques and exercises to help you escalate that level of intuition to the point where you can call upon it when you need, for emotional reasons, for business reasons, for academic reasons, for relationship reasons, because it's that inner tuition that you're calling on to help you guide yourself through life. And when you start to navigate through life by using your own intuition, you no longer live in this way of blaming something or somebody else for what's going on. It's easy to
Yes.
accept. So you start to manage stress a little bit more, because you then start to realize that it's you that has control. And I love what you said. There are no mistakes. You start to get to a point in life where there are no mistakes. There are no bad things. Everything that happened to you happened for you, not to you. So it really is, that's one big illusion right there, that everything that happens to us. It happens for us. You and I would not be here doing what we're doing if we had not come face to face with the challenges that life presented, the cards that life dealt.
Right. I'm just
Right?
answering one of the people over here. Go ahead. I'm still listening.
Yeah. So that is how you start to learn through those lower brainwave frequencies to actually connect and listen to your intuition.
Right.
Because that's that infinite intelligence that's flowing through everything and everybody. And you can. The science has proven it through such things as Kirlian photography and with plants. There was a scientist back in the 60s who was playing around with a lie detector test. Okay, and he attached a lie detector test to a plant, and he actually intended to burn it. He intended to cut it. And the lie detector test went crazy. So he was able to, just like the water, he was able to deduce that this plant can sense the intention that I have for it. Right? The plant can sense that intent. It picks up that conscious energy and intention. But when he tried to fake it with no intention, the plant did nothing.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So this is the power of intention. This is that power. And it goes, when it's low vibrational and it's harmful, right? But it can also be used for benefits when you're acting out of kindness, compassion.
Yes. Yes. You touched on something, and it brought something to mind, right? Because I have been studying um, the flower of life, right? And I've been going really deep into it, trying to understand. You said something and it sparked it, and I was like, "Oh, that makes perfect sense." Because when there was a comparison, Billy Carson, Terrence Howard, they all started doing studies on it, and studies been done many, many times over. And they started noticing that the only difference between the different the different plant lives, or animals and things like that, were the different elements. That was it, right? Everything else was the same. And it was like you said, it was the reason why we don't hear anything when we pluck the flower, things like that, is because we don't understand the language. And in my thoughts, it's the vibration, it's the connectivity the connectivity that we have through that vibrational, which allows us to be able to communicate with those that don't openly speak the language that we do. And when I look at it that way, I apply it to the language of grief, right? Because grief is its own different language, and everybody at some point will speak the same language. It's understanding where you are or where that individual is, and how to show up and speak the language that they're speaking, so um, you can better help
Help
guide
them.
where on the path that they need to be on, but not, what I'm saying, without the intention of
So, what is the language of grief?
it's like a foreign love language, right? It's a foreign love language. And what I mean by that, like, we have our love languages. We all have a love language that we speak. Now, when we go out and seek support groups, so to speak, right? When we go out and seek support groups, we can show up in that group, right? We can articulate what's going on as long as their environment is welcoming. But then you have an individual that you may connect with a little bit more than you connect with everyone else, right? And it's because of the relationship of the grief that you both share. It's a foreign love. I can sit around and I can talk with you, right? And there will be certain things that we don't say, but I get what you're saying. That vibration gives off,
Right.
right? And subconsciously, you will give me what I need, and I will give something that you need, right? Unintentionally, but we know exactly what we need.
And by the way, you can still get that in silence.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like,
Right.
that's what I mean. It's a foreign love language that no one speaks, right? Until you're actually in that situation.
Yeah.
And so it depends on where you're at, who you're around, and the relationship that you have, not only with your grief, and are they on the same path?
Right.
You can match.
So, and if you look at grief as an energy or as a situation, and with all due respect, you know, grief grief stems from the love that was not delivered.
Yes.
Grief is an indication that the individual who is grieving has the ability to attune to so much love. And we're not talking just romantic love. We're talking about love as an energy, right? And that's a whole different conversation. So we won't get into that. But that there is a lot of undelivered love for that which is being grieved. But it is an indication that that individual, that soul, has that love language within them that wasn't fulfilled and delivered,
Yes.
right? and and what is the thing that a lot of times, the thing that makes people stuck in that energy is when they are not able to express it freely. Why? Especially with men, because what is the one limiting belief most men have been raised in different cultures to believe? Oh, you cannot cry. You
Exactly.
must not cry. You have to be strong. You're a man. One day
Yes.
you're going to be, and I know, because as I've coached many men and women who say, well, why doesn't my husband just open up, and why can't he cry? And then you look at the upbringing, and you look at, and this isn't that anybody's traumatized or taught wrong. You know, these beliefs and these teachings by our parents, by communities, by different, they maybe served a purpose at that time, in the development of earth and mankind. you know the beliefs of people who were raised during the Great Depression versus the wars versus other revolution, they've gone, their experiences will shape their beliefs and their perceptions of life, and they
Mhm.
will tend to, especially as parents, think that they're helping their children out by saying, hey, this is a belief. You cannot trust somebody of this gender or this nationality, or you must stay strong. You cannot cry, because if you cry, you show weakness.
Yes.
Or so many different. I'm just giving examples,
No,
right?
you're good. I'm right there with you. I'm going to ask that when you get done.
And
So
that's what
we discussed
and
this
that's
thing.
what blocks men. Yeah, because
Yeah.
a lot of men, it's a limiting belief that they're not able to show empathy or show their own emotions.
Yes.
Their
Yeah.
own emotions.
But now let's add to that, right? First, I want to say thank you to O Peter 34. They've been leaving some really great comments, following along with us. Thank you for joining,
Awesome.
and everyone else on Instagram who's been joining in. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying it. If you have any questions for Manish, please put them in the comment section. We're going to answer those as we go along. Everybody's on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Guys, thank you. Guys, put your questions in the comments. We're going to answer them as we go. Now, I want to add to what you just said there, right? And maybe bring a different perspective. When it comes down with men, yes, we are taught not to express our emotions and things like that, right? And again, this is why I say it's a foreign love language. And when it comes down to women, because I also bring this point across with women, how can, my husband or my significant other or my brother or my father, they do these things right here. And I often say, hold on, before you get confused about what's going on, what if I told you they are expressing themselves? You're just reading the language wrong, misinterpreting the language that's been presented to you. We are not taught to articulate what's going on. That's why we don't have the words to put with the emotions. So what do? Let's look at the second language, anger, right? Anger is our go-to, because that's the way we've always expressed how we felt, right? If we're sad, we got to go bust something. We gotta go and have an argument with somebody. But if you look at the underlying, it's our way of saying, I'm hurt. I'm deeply hurt right now. My life is falling apart. If you can understand that, you can then show up in a different way, right? You can allow that man to express himself. Now, when we just use that as a foundation of the misunderstanding of the language, when we do decide to open up, and it takes us to have a sense of trust with the individual that we're talking with, right? Whether if it's your significant other, your best friend, and this and another, right? The thing is that it's so touchy, it's so fickle, that if I was to say, for instance, if I was to come to you and say, man, I'm not in a good place right now, right? And you go, oh man, just man up, and I'll never say anything else to you ever again, because you just now invalidated everything that I wanted to open up and say. I was just testing the waters to see what you would do, right? Or if I come and say, for instance, if I had a girlfriend or something, and I went to her and she goes, why don't you open up? And I gave that opportunity, took that opportunity to open up. And she goes, well, you know what? I said, I understand, but I'm going through something right now too. I'll never open up to that person ever again. So now I have to revert back to the language that I'm familiar with. The anger, I have to go out and be by myself, because for one, this is where I'm safe.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? And then on top of there, let's add in a few other things that people never even take into consideration. Us being men, let's look at life. Life throws things at us on a daily basis. We're often worried about providing and protecting. We're often worried about we got to deal with the job, right? You know what I'm saying? We got to deal with the BS at the job, right? We got to deal with all of these different things and still come and put a smile on my face, because I don't want you to think that I am weak. Because once you feel or lose that in me, I've now lost my value within the relationship, whether if it's an intimate relationship or a friendship, right? I've now lost my value. Once a man feel as if he's lost his value in any one of those roles, we tend to go, I am better off not being here. So what happens? We've now convinced ourselves, I gotta go. So we either one, run to escape and to, you know what I'm saying, not to be a burden on anyone, or two, the other alternative, which you already know, is to unalive ourselves, because we now don't understand our worth. Our worth is judged off of what we can give to the next person.
Ah,
See what I mean? So all of these different things, these different vibrations will go through, right? And it's a trickle down effect. So what you have to look at all of those things and look at, like you said, culturally, right? How was you raised? What do you see in those, what do you see in your culture that help mold how you are today? So these things, that's what I say, when it comes down to those things like that, it's a foreign love language that no one speaks, because no one really thinks about the other added things, the other added roles that we as men carry on our shoulders, because we carry it well.
so that's the beauty about when you tap into the subconscious mind.
Mm,
That's the
mm,
beauty with the silver method and the meditations we teach, the
yes,
techniques that we have, because what comes to fruition are those subconscious thoughts, those limiting beliefs, those feeling states, right? Because the subconscious mind doesn't always remember with respect to words. It remembers with feelings, emotional states.
right, yes, yes,
Emotion is energy in motion, and as far as see, anger, fear, guilt, shame, hurt, they're all reactions.
yes,
They're all reactions.
right,
And you know why they're reactions and why we react? Because as a species we are built for survival.
mm-hmm,
That's the sympathetic versus the parasympathetic.
mm,
That is when we get into stress mode. We're built for survival. Stress is not a bad thing. Okay, stress is not a people seem to think that stress is without stress you don't have the desire, the ability to solve problems.
yes,
When you can either look at something in this world with the eyes and the perception of, oh my god, this is a problem, this is terrible, this is dreadful, there's a shit show going on, or we're going to look at it and say, okay, this is an opportunity to create a solution
yes,
through that infinite wisdom. But
yes,
but it's when you learn how to manage stress, right? Because as a species we were either taught to fight or flee from that saber-toothed tiger, right? We were taught to fight or flee from that saber-toothed tiger back in prehistoric times. Now we don't have any of those things today,
right,
but
right,
we have wired ourselves to allow a job or a relationship or something else to create stress to which we need to react to. And it's our reaction, it's nobody else's.
yes,
And society teaches us, well, that's all right because they pissed you off, so you have a right to get angry. No, 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 no. Because they only stressed you, they only triggered you. It's like the great Wayne Dyer always says. He says, if I give you an orange and you squeeze this orange, what comes out of it? Orange
juice,
juice. You
yeah,
only get orange juice of what's inside it. You will never get pineapple juice, lemon juice, apple juice when you squeeze the orange.
love it, love
All
it,
right. So when we are the same as human beings, when we are stressed, what comes out of us is what's inside of us. So if what came out of me was anger, what came out of me was hurt, what came out of me was sadness, grief, fear, then that is what's inside of me. Now you can look at that as something to digress on and say, "Oh my God, I'm angry, I'm hurt, or you can look at that as a aha moment and say, "Okay, this is what I need to change, and
yes,
how do I change?" And I won't go into it here, but because I spent 4 days teaching it, is how do you transmute and alchemize energy? How do you change it? And with grief, it is the acknowledgement of the love that is within you
right,
that
yes,
was unfulfilled, but and that love was felt. It was never seen physically. It was always felt, right? It was an emotion. And just like you said, whatever your beliefs spiritually, religiously, whatever your persuasion is of where you go and where you go after, See, these are things that your soul, your spirit, your quantum field doesn't ever lose. This intelligence.
Yes. Yes.
And when you just tap into them, you can flip that coin. It takes time. It takes time. And grieving, you know, there is no getting over it. There is no getting
No.
over a person. No, it's acknowledging it, understanding it, embracing it, because by acknowledging that you are a mode of love, right? And
What I want to add to that, because I don't want to get too far. I want people to go and check you out, to sign up for your courses, because you know what I'm saying. So we just giving them little pieces. You should see comments that over here lighting up like, whoa,
I
whoa.
can't see the comments. I can't see the
You don't
comments.
see
So,
them on Instagram. I got that on a separate screen over here.
all right.
There's a,
Hopefully, it's all good.
so I'm over there looking, and man, this pretty cool. Um, But I want to add to that, right? Because I totally agree. Again, grief is one of those things. There's no blueprint for it, right? There's no blueprint for it. So, however, we need to grow within our grief in order to come to a place of acknowledgement, and acknowledge that your world has changed, but also acknowledge that the grief is not going to go anywhere. It's going to change as you change, right? And I totally agree. You can either have an emotional reaction or you can have a response. Now, and again, I am not speaking for no one else. I'm only speaking for myself, because, like I said, grief is my gift, right? And so I may just look at it in a different perspective than most people. Again, I am on a mission to be better, to be the best at what I do. I'm not trying to compete with no one else. So these are things that I'm learning, and I apply on a daily basis. So and what I mean by that, I've learned um, I've learned to respond to my grief instead of react. See, in the beginning, I learned how to react. I had an
Yeah.
emotional response, and the results were, oh, I have to do this, that, and the other. And I realized over a period of time, no, I didn't. Right? All I had to do
Love that.
was look at the opportunity to learn. Why do I feel this way? Why is this emotion so important at this moment? Let me go and sit with this and let me ask the question, what do you need from me? So when you show up again, I don't have this reaction. I can now respond and be a student, right? I can sit with you and learn everything that you're willing to teach me, right? And then once it's done, I can put you back on the shelf. That way, you're there. I know that you're there, but now I have something that I can give to someone else, right? Um, and now, when the other section of it is a reality that I had to come up, had to figure out on my own. But once I figured it out, it makes my life that much more um, adventurous, right? Because I understand my role in people's lives when I come across them. I don't have the luxury of getting attached to people, places, or things. My gift, when I listen to people's conversations, so I'm an observer. I don't allow myself to have emotional attachments anymore. For one, my emotions have no place in your journey. You're not here for that. You're not here for my story. You're here for what I carry. And I owe it to you when you come into my path. See, I'm only there to walk you to your next destination, to give you everything that you need in order for you to start the healing process, for you to show up in someone else's life, a healed version of yourself. And I have to go and keep going. That is my role, right? The truth of the matter, I'm the seasonal one. Took me a long time to figure out why things never worked out. People always left me and things like that. And I used to have an emotional reaction to it. And after a while, I said, it's not personal. And I began to see their journeys. I began to look at their paths and go, man, I'm excited to see where you end up. I'm excited to see who you become. That became who I am today, and still growing within that, right? My grief is a mentor. This is who I am. And I embrace that because it is the biggest gift that I can give to someone else is the act of selflessness, to give and to serve without expectation, right?
Right.
And to know when I need to be a student and when I need to be a mentor. I don't want to be a leader. I don't want to lead you down a path that's not meant for you. That's your path to figure out. I'm only there to walk you to your next destination. And when it's time for us to go, I will go, I will see you again, whether it's in this life or the next life. But if I see you in this life, please tell me how I treated you. Tell me of all the great adventures that you've been on, right? But that's, again, that is my perception of
And it
how
works for you,
that works for me, right?
right?
Uh, and so I don't know. I started thinking about that. I've been something I've been exploring and walking the path of, and it
But
made
it's allowed you to walk the path of least resistance
right. Yes,
for you.
surrender.
Surrender, least resistance, to get in the flow, to align with your purpose. See, that's the other thing. We talk about this on one of the days in depth. There is no finding your purpose. People are stuck in then finding their purpose. What is my purpose?
Yeah.
No, it's aligning to your purpose. And what
Yes.
purpose is that? It's aligning to your purpose as a conscious being. You, I, everybody are human beings, spiritual beings that are having a human experience, not
Yes.
human beings seeking spirituality. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, not the other way around, right? And when you realize that, and when you realize you are part of this quantum field, the spiritual realm, the soul universe, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, you are a drop of source energy, and you are that one drop in this big ocean, right? It's not saying that you are God. We're not saying when you're a drop of source energy that I am odd God. No, it's saying that I possess that same infinite intelligence and energetic qualities.
Mm.
If you take a glass of H2O, that's all molecules of H2O, and that's the supreme source, and you take one particle of it and it's still H2O. It's still H2O. This is just one glass of it and this is
Yeah.
one molecule. It's still comprised of the same energetic composition. There's just more of this. This is God or the universe or divine, whatever you choose to call it. And the one, you and I, that one particle of water is that just one molecule. And
Yeah.
when you start to look at it this way, and when that's what allows you to detach. That's what allows you to detach when you facilitate the death of the ego, and you say that I am not separate, right? And even when it comes, and you and I talked about this the other day, even when you're able to facilitate this growth in others, this success in others, you can help people, guide them to their peace, and they're very humble and gracious. Well, not humble, sorry, they're very gracious and show gratitude to us, say thank you, without you, and you and I turn around and really, no, it's not me. Thank you, but no thank you, it's not me. That's
Yeah.
humility, right? That's like, no, I am merely the vessel, or I'm merely the beacon, right? And that same source, that same intelligence. The first question you asked me today is, hey, Manish, how did you start this journey? So I was exactly the same spot as that person. And whether it be through a book, whether it be through YouTube, or whether it be through a seminar that got me going with that infinite intelligence of how to go within and work on my own thoughts, because your thoughts are everything. See, your thoughts become your feelings and your emotions. They then become your actions or your words or your reactions.
Yes.
They, when they you do them habitually, they form your personality. Your personality will depict your reality,
Yes.
and it all started with a thought. And
Yes.
that's why we teach consciousness. That's why we teach mindfulness. That's why, you know what's the biggest myth about meditation? Oh, I can't meditate. I can't. Why can't you meditate? Because I start thinking things. Who said that's wrong? Who
Yes.
said that when you go into a meditative, relaxed state, and if you think of something, who told you that that's wrong? That's actually that infinite intelligence putting a thought in. And if you find that that thought is low vibrational, it's telling you what you need to heal. It's showing you the splinter that needs to be removed,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
then there are techniques to then do that, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into that. Then there are ways to do that.
Oh yeah.
And
It's see a lot of people, and that's why there's individuals like yourself, help teach those methods, right?
right,
And the people have. I love the fact that we have a multitude of people that have different techniques to help
sure,
that they can connect with the most, right? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not afraid to admit I may not be a good fit for
right,
someone, but I allow me to find someone who can be, right? Because the last thing I want to do is do any damage to anyone. I don't want to put you on a path of destruction because I lack knowledge, right? To be able to help you walk your path. I'm a firm believer we're all here to walk each other to our next destination. People will always remember the way that we made them feel. They may not remember your name, but they may see you going on the street like, oh man, oh man, remember when we was talking, about 3 or 4 years
so
ago?
Tony, do you know of one Dolores Cannon? You ever heard that name,
I have,
Dolores Cannon?
I have.
She has this really beautiful, if I can share it, she has this really beautiful way of saying, when we pass away, and before we enter the gates of heaven, whatever anybody's spiritual persuasion is, we basically sit in this amphitheater where we're looking at our life.
Yeah,
And in that life, we are the director, the actor, the choreographer, the producer, the writers, we're everything. And to the left of the stage are people that have yet to enter this play of our own. And to the right are the people that have come and played their part and already left. And what you start to see on the screen is not how you felt during your interaction in certain parts of your life, but how you made others feel. What you see is how you made others feel. And this whole movie, just before you pass on to the next phase, you do not feel. So if now I went to a local grocery store and the guy in front of me didn't have the money for their coffee and was looking for it, and I said, brother, don't worry about it, I got it, I got you. You got a coffee? Oh, you got a donut? Don't worry, I bought it for you. I might not think much of it, but what I'll see in that screen is that guy who was possibly getting done a third shift and finding me while he's really hungry and innocently left his wallet somewhere.
right,
Just that gratitude, I will feel that gratitude. Similarly, I could have done something or said something to somebody that could have been very hurtful, but I might not have thought much of it. And I thought I was actually right. And you could be right, but still be an ego. But you can never be an ego while you're still kind,
that's very true.
right? Now, I could be right. Yeah, I could be right. I could be theoretically, hypothetically, socially right, morally right. But I will feel in that screen the hurt that I imposed on that person,
Right. Exactly.
right?
And I love that you said that. And I got one more thing, and then we'll begin to wrap this up because I know you
Yeah,
have a busy day today as well. But I'm loving this conversation. It was something that was I was in a men's group before I got into this work because I wanted to surround myself with other men because I didn't know what a man was, right? You know what I'm saying? No one had ever taught me. So this is when my son was probably around 2, 3 years old. And, I didn't really have custody of him, but I knew that I needed to learn how to be a man to show up for him, right? What does a
yeah,
man look like? No one ever taught. I knew what a gangbanger looked like. I knew what a drug dealer. I knew what a pimp looked like, right? I knew what a homeless guy looked like. I knew what an inmate looked like. I never knew what a man looked like. So I knew I wanted to surround myself with good men, good-hearted men,
wow,
so I can learn. And the guy Pastor Carl, good dude, really good dude. He says, look at life this way. If I wake up in the morning, and this is what really sparked everything in the path, or begin this path of understanding manhood. He said, if I wake up in the morning and I have an argument with my life, or with my wife, I go out into the world, and no matter who I come against that day, they may have not have wronged me. I don't know this person. I'm going to take that out on them. And in turn, now you've turned their day into the day that you're having. And towards the end of the day, now you've done a trickle effect across. You probably affected hundreds of people from that one moment.
Yep.
Right?
Energy can be passed on.
Energy's always transferred over to the next one. He goes, but what if you wake up and you see me walk in with an attitude and you approach me with kindness? I don't know what to do with that. So in turn, you've now changed my perspective and how I now get to not only react to you, but have a better response to how you're giving me energy, right? He goes, as a man, it is our responsibility to make sure that those in our lives that we affect and have an effect on us.
Right.
That we make sure that we're showing up to give them the best possible feeling in the world. Because at the end of the day, they're going to talk about how you made them feel. And I thought that was the most, when you can take that and dissect it, right? How do we show up in our kids' life? How do we show up in our wives' lives? How do we show up in our friends' lives? And things like that. It starts and ends with you.
Yeah.
Right? And when you can carry that, like you said, that love that we have, now we can begin to put answers to it. We can begin to fulfill that love. Although we may have lost someone, love is still there.
Right.
Check your ego at the door and let love check itself in. And allow that to go out there and touch other people. Healing starts with just that thought.
I love that. I love what you say there, and it's so true. It starts and ends with you.
Right.
It's always you. And when you choose to show up for yourself because you're worthy, and you choose to change so that you are better, you subconsciously give permission for those around you to change. You can tell them till you're blue in the face, they won't. My immersion seminars, I will frequently hear people who come, oh, this is great, day 2, day 3, I need my husband to come, I need so-and-so to come, I want so-and-so, I want my kids to come. And I hold space and I say, continue your journey. When you start to show up and change for yourself, believe me, they all see that change in energy. And at some point, they're going to sit back and they say, what is this person doing?
Mm-hmm.
And they will try. And I know, because people will leave the seminar and they'll feel great and they'll get back to the real world, to their bosses and people and spouses or whoever, and they'll get triggered. And they're like, oh, everything's back to normal. Everything's the same. It was great for 4 days. If you learn the techniques, and being calm is a superpower. Maintaining your calm is a superhuman power. When you learn to do that, you will unlock the superhuman power within you. When you learn how to unlock the powers of your mind, you learn the science of law of attraction, manifestation, the law of reversibilities. These are natural laws that, just like gravity, they work regardless whether you know it, believe it, or studied it. Mm-hmm. And when you start to know and learn how powerful your thoughts are, you be really careful what you think about, because what you think about is what shows up.
Exactly.
Exactly. But it all starts with you. And that's the one thing I would tell people. Go inside, look at yourself, just begin this journey. It's a long, and it never ends. I love what you said also, that we'll never be a master. We'll never be a know-it-all, because this journey of learning in life is endless for you and me too. People think just because I'm a coach and I'm an instructor, I've got all my stuff figured out. Heck no. Heck
For
no.
the most part.
Yeah, right. You know, but when you start to be able to learn is how to manage these things, how to navigate and manage through stress, to not allow it to become resistant, to
Right.
not, and it changes, Tony, medically, it will change your DNA. It will alter your DNA. We talk about epigenetics. This is why, this is why people who, especially if you grieve and you're in a state of grieving for a long period of time, it triggers other diseases in
Mhm.
your body, because consciously it's that energy you're tuning into. So I know we talked a lot. I don't know if there's any questions we need to answer.
No, everybody's just tuning in, checking us out, and everything. And
Okay.
again, there's no time limit, but yeah, we've we've
We'll
covered.
have to do it again, dude. We'll have to do it again, brother.
You let me know when you have time, man, because I love this audience. You guys, thank you guys for tuning in. You guys have been amazing over there. They didn't ask any questions. They was just making comments as we were going, and we was kind of segueing into it. So I really love that. Love your participation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Manish, my man, we got to do this again, brother. We
Yes.
do this again.
And thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for having me on the show.
Of course, man. Of course. Before I let you go, though, man, tell people where they can find you.
So I have my website up there, silvamindset.com. Instagram is probably the best social media outlet that I connect to people with, and that's at mindset_coach_Manish.
Awesome.
At mindset_coach_Manish. Silvamindset.com will put you through to my website where you can access my email. My email is manish@silvamindset.com. I have my next 4-day immersion seminar at the end of June here north of Philadelphia, not far from New Jersey, the tri-state area. A lot of people fly in. It's 4 days. It's held at a good professional hotel setting, and it's an immersion experience. And it's a life-changing. But if it resonates, if anybody wants to reach out to me, I'd be more than happy to talk about it with a discovery call.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm definitely gonna have to come down and check out one of those. Not just to just experience that, but to reach in close and shake your hand, and what I'm saying, and thank you for just everything that you shared with me today, man. This knowledge allowing me to be a part of your journey and have a beautiful, amazing conversation to add so much to the audience, man. It's just been you humble,
Thank you, and feelings mutual.
And with that being said, you guys, we're gonna end this episode of Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. We will not be doing a daily episode tomorrow. Please go out and enjoy time with family and friends, and make sure if you're grieving the loss of someone, make sure that you surround yourself with people that can talk life into you and lift you up and allow you to express your grief. Try not to do it on your own if you don't have to. And if you need to get a hold of me, my website is down there as well. I do have Manish information. Reach out to him, please. And we're going to make sure you guys are. We're going to make sure you guys make it through the holidays with people that care about you. Manish, again, thank you for being. You. Everyone else, thank you guys for tuning in, allowing us to support you. And as always, if you haven't already, head over to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. And if this is not your fit, but if you know someone who could benefit from these conversations, please share this with them. And with that being said, you guys make memories, enjoy the weather, and have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you. Better and better all.